who is this guy? I do better. Next time I go to a town, I'm just going to leave the who's coming blank and see. I'll probably get more people. Who's coming? Just question marks. Everyone will be rushing in. How much do I have to pay? My new marketing plan. Don't say I'm coming. Don't, please. So you feel anything now in the room, hopefully? Yes, 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 that's it. It's all an energetic thing. The words are like the envelope, they're not the message. We need words because the mind has a mail slot now. It's not going to let much in unless it can be conceived of a little bit. But when it gets in there, when the envelope opens, there's nothing in it. That's the message, yeah? You're left with nothing, and nothing is the gift that keeps on giving. Seriously. Nothing is the only gift that will keep on giving. Some things, all somethings will run out. All somethings are of quantity. They'll always run out. And truly, they're unreliable for that. But nothing keeps on giving. You can't make it something, though the mind wants to. It will thwart it every time. Every time you try to pick it up, you try to weigh it, you try to make it something, you try to take advantage of it, the mental condition, it won't respond. And then when you finally really truly let it alone, it blossoms. And it shows itself. And it's going to have a huge effect. Nothing will have the greatest effect on you in this world. It'll have the greatest effect of anything. Nothing. And you can't return it, which is great. No money back, guaranteed. Where are you going to bring it to? Customer service? Hey, that you got nothing, exactly. Where am I supposed to put it? What am I supposed to do with it? Yeah, you'll find out. Yeah, there you go. So any questions tonight? Yes, yes.
Probably answered this, but just, so a person's in suffering, they're in pain, they decide to accept the invitation, they spin it around, try to look at things from another perspective. Maybe some good thoughts, I think good thoughts might be coming through. Like you spend a lot of time putting down thoughts, so but maybe some of them are pointing to God, or maybe some of those feelings are good. Is some of that real, or is none of that real too?
Well, none of it's truly real, but it can have an effect by the mind that's seeing it. So the mind gives it the effect. And the thing is, if you believe that you're a person in real suffering and pain, yeah, if you do believe that, you need a pail of water. Your house is on fire. You don't need a philosophy. Yeah, you got to take an action. You can't be sitting around thinking about it. It's not going to work. The thinking has produced such a situation that you've got to break it through action, not thought. Yeah? So there's different levels of ideas, of mind that are manifesting here. So let's say if I'm feeling that my house is on fire and someone's going to give me a book that says there's no house and there's no fire, it's not going to work. I need a pail of water. Yes? So if a person's at that point that they're really suffering and they're really in it, the bottom of it, this will just add on to that. Yeah? At that point, you need something. Nothing's not the best antidote at that point. And then when the fire goes down a little bit, you feel a little better, maybe you can look at what causes all the fires in your life. Yes? Maybe you can start seeing why you have to live near pails of water so much. Maybe you can become a free range. This thing, this cloud to download meaning. So one day you're feeling good and something's a problem, let's say, yeah? Isn't a problem. You look at it, it's fine. Next day you're feeling bad, it's a problem. The next day you're feeling good, it's not a problem. What is it? Is it a problem or isn't it a problem? You've given it all the meaning it has. Expand on that example. That's what's happening all day. Yeah? The condition of your mind now, if it's agitated, it's going to see things in a very distorted way. It'll see threats where there aren't any, and stuff like that. It's actually delusional. Yeah? It'll paint a picture that you'll have to live as a character in that may not be too fitting for you. It may not lead to happy joy and freedom. Yeah? It may cause a lot of irritability, restlessness, and discontent, and agitation. And even when peace and relaxation is available, you won't be able to rest or relax there because you're enslaved to it. All through the mind, not through the thoughts. The thoughts have no power in and of themselves. You give them all the power. And the idea here is there's another aspect of mind called faith, yes? Everyone in this room has tons of faith. Everybody has faith. In this place of expression, faith manifests through the vehicle it's put in. So if you have faith in this thought system, and it's a failed system, you can tell if it's a failed system. Is it built on a lot of excuses, rationalizations, and blame? Is it? In your head, are there excuses, rationalizations, and blame during your day? If I was, let's say, a furniture store, and I sold couches, and every time I was selling the couch, I delivered it exactly as it was pictured, on the right time, yes, to the right place, would I need any excuses, rationalizations, and blame for the reason why I didn't deliver it? No, I delivered it. That's what's happening. Yeah? You were hoping that this navigational system would lead you to a sense of joy, at least happiness or security in your life. Has it succeeded? Has it succeeded? How many formulas have you followed that it's offered you? Have they succeeded? Or you're on number formula 67. And then if that fails, you'll still hope that number 80 works. Yeah? You're on a dead horse. It's time to recognize it and get off. Simple as that. It's a failed system. So if I have faith in this system and it's failed, what's that system going to produce? It's going to use the faith that my mind puts in it and produce anxiety. Anxiety, out of where? Out of what's not happening. Your faith workers. Your faith is producing effects now from an imaginary place. Jesus, at least, when he resurrected supposedly that guy Lazarus at least had once been alive. We're making shit out of nothing. All freaking day. Yeah? How can nothing have an effect? How can nothing have an effect? How can what's not happening have an effect? What's giving it the meaning that it can be used as a bludgeon on your day? Voila. Voila. Our mind. Why? Because it's structured and formatted in a certain way. It's identified as a system that's failed, called self-centeredness. We're questioning the center of the system. If you're not that, you'll get relief from the effects of the system. You'll have thoughts, and you'll have the ability to recognize the ones that are valid and the ones that are just like Eckhart Tolle talks about psychological. That are just yapping about you, there and then. Or the pain body, or whatever, all those things. All those things are just mental winds that take us over. But what allows them to take us over? There's a certain petri dish that attracts it. That petri dish is self-centeredness. It's identification as self. Then the mental winds land there, and then 100 forms of fear appear. 100 forms of resentments and paranoia and threats and dis-ease when you're at the most comfortable place in the world. You know? You can tell there's no threat in this room. This is going to end. You'll never see me again. You're not getting shot at. Yeah? And yet a lot of people can feel anxiety because they're not here. They can't respond to here because they're addicted to there and then. They're wondering, I've got to get home to that Haagen-Dazs. What am I going to eat later? I hope I still have that movie. I need some fucking security. I can't bear being here. Yeah. It's unbelievable. You know, to me, see, in ignorance, you may not see it. And ignorance doesn't mean stupidity. It means ignoring. We're ignoring conscious contact, and we're allowing this mental process to become the dominant influence in our life. And how's it working out? Take stock. How's it working out? Are you happy, joyous, and free? Or at least somewhat comfortable in your own skin? And is it stabilized? Or are you at the whims of circumstances and situations that are read by an incredibly crazy mind that tells you one day, oh, you're fine, and the next day you're the hated of all hated, you know? You're never going to be enough. I've been on a run. This is like hours of talks I've done, and this last 4 or 5 days, and repetition is helpful. Not dissertations, not giant long fucking intensives. Invitations repeated. Yes? Invitation repeated. Maybe entertain. At least few of the thoughts in your head aren't yours. And you'll see there'll be a sense of space. And that sense of space will produce a feeling of lightness. There you go. Yes?
Do you think society being so fast with technology and everything helps the situation of stopping us to be present, or does it make it worse?
Helps the situation of stopping, it helps the system of
No.
stopping us.
No, like what I'm saying is, because everything is so fast now.
Yeah.
People want to multitask and do all this at once. People are sped up, it speeds people up.
Yes,
so
you
it's
are.
not good,
For
right?
sure, exactly. Well, it's not good or bad. It matters what your mind makes it.
But for a lot of people that aren't aware and that are ignorant about what's going on, they just kind of go with what's happening. So that speeding those people up, is that healthy?
The funny thing is, they may think they're going with what's happening, and they're getting pushed by what's happening.
Yes.
It's called being herded. It's a form of slavery.
Well, it's not, it can't be good, no?
well,
No.
to the cow that's going to the meat market, it ain't, no. I once did a cartoon of a slatted truck and all these cows in it, yeah? And then they had on the side meat market, you know? And then all the cows were there, and there's one like this, and I wrote the awakened one. It knew where it was going. All the others were just there. I'll tell you really, in my sense, one moment of this is worth 100 years of false security of fucking being neutered, you know? Deballed and fucking... It is. You know, I'd much rather, whatever you have to, the cost of being awake is well worth it for that Chinese water torture of drip, 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 time after time after time, I'm telling you. And you know what? You will be so surprised of how benevolent life can actually be, and the powers that are in it. I mean, you know, I came out of severe addiction, you know. Well, there's no logical reason why things changed. I wasn't looking to get better, I had given up. And then I had a sort of intervention in the head, just sitting, getting drunk, waiting to get high with some guy I didn't know in a trailer park, California, Northern California, March 20th, 1988. I drank myself stupid. I couldn't put two sentences together for the last few days. When I woke up after I nodded out, I was drunk. I was so alcoholically intoxicated. I had been in 2 years and 3 months of programs, 2-year program, where I lived 2 years. Thought it was going to get better, and I went back out again. Had 3 months when I was younger in a program in the Bronx. Thought it was going to get better, and I went out again. I pretty much was totally demoralized, had given up, and figured I'm just going to stay as high as I can until the next time I go to an institution, jail, or death, because that's the 3 doors I was ending up at all the time. And then suddenly, while the guy was offering me the vodka again, something happened. Something downloaded in my head, and it froze that selfing, that incessant stream of mentality that was drawing all my attention interest into it. It had drowned my attention interest. It had drowned it like a baby in a bathtub. It drowned it. It really was. My interest and attention was pretty much numb until I shot some drugs, some coke or something. And nothing happened for like 3 minutes, but all this information downloaded because I didn't take that next offer. And suddenly I said, I got to call up the program I had been in 10 months before, the 2-year one that I just went on a 10-month run from. And I asked them, I went out to the phone booth and called them, which the minute before this occurred, I was never thinking of doing, not 1 second. I wasn't thinking of getting better. I'd given up all hope, basically. And I called them up and I asked if they would take me back. And they had been getting my newsletter for the last 10 months, and they said no. They said, maybe you can come back in a month and have another interview. That doesn't mean we'll accept you or not. And I said the first honest thing I'd said in 10 months, and that is, I don't think I have a month, you know. It was pretty much, felt really terminal. So then I called someone else up, and this poor lady I used to party with fell for my story again, because something had shifted. And she drove up to Calistoga, an hour and a half from San Francisco, and picked me up. And while we were driving back, I had forgotten that moment of clarity. I wanted to get high again. But she wouldn't buy it, and she said, do you want a place to stay tonight? And I said, yeah, I do. I'm pretty much washed up. And she said, well, you got to go to an AA meeting. So I said, well, that's an hour, I can do that. And so she took me to my first meeting, and I've been sober and clean ever since. Now, what's happened to me with the biggest influence of my whole life, which was alcoholism and addiction, and to have it stop like that, and that solution that downloaded that day is still alive today, 25 years later, and has a lot of energy in it. I don't need any more convincing. I know that there are powers greater than self available to us, because I've seen it demonstrate on the biggest stage of my life, which was my addiction to drugs and alcohol. You know, my mother wanted it to stop. My family wanted it to stop, my friends wanted it to stop, I wanted it to stop, my enemies wanted it to stop, the state wanted it to stop. Nothing could stop it, and yet something stopped it that day, and it hasn't started ever since. And you know what it's like now? It talks about it in the recovery program. The problem doesn't exist for me anymore. That's a damn good solution. Yeah, it's a damn good solution. So the possibilities of mind are endless, but they need to be entertained. They're there, but if there's no entertaining of it, they cannot find fruition here. Where the form of expression, where the threshold, where we are, where mind that's not informed takes form. It takes expression through us. And the role we have is we can entertain it. But what happens is, some of us, a lot of us, and I needed to hear the possibilities. And that's what this is. This message, this meeting is to allow someone to hear a possibility that may register for them, you know? And if it does, it will change your life. Simple as that. You know, maybe a little bit each second, maybe a large, but it will definitely change it, and it will try to intimate what it is, which is very light. It's non-form, and it will lighten you up, I'll tell you. Yeah, and I've had a lot of years of it stabilizing, you know, and consistent experiencing of it. It's not an experience, but it will influence all your experiences, because it's a state that you'll be living from. Yeah, and that dis-ease and irritability and restlessness, that's the norm, will flip, and you'll have an ease and comfort. That's the basis. Yeah, you'll have your spikes and your peaks and valleys, but the base will be an ease and comfort, not irritability, restlessness, and discontent. Yes, you will not be enslaved anymore.